John Arrowsmith, Tactica Sacra, Lesson 16. Si inter alios insignis ille fidei socinianae huperospites Valentinus Smalcius improbe satis asserverit ea domini verba de quibus agatur, quando spiritum ab ipso prolata sunt, Christum minime respexisse, nec aliquid in se pro missionis evangelicae continuisse. In this portion, Arrowsmith is going to be discussing and discounting the view of a prominent Socinian, namely a man named Valentinus Smalcius. Now, the selection begins with C, which is the introduction of a conditional, and so is routinely translated as if. However, as you can see, this portion is really long, and the semicolon here means there's a lot more to come. So in terms of translating it into English form, I have decided to take the C as so, because later on we will have the conditional idea in the latter portion. So this is a good example of how different English and Latin idiom is, and how we have to make some accommodation for the target language. So we might say, so, among the other distinguished, alios insignis, the other distinguished hyperospites. So this word hyperospites is masculine plural and accusative. It's someone who stands behind a shield or beneath a shield. It's obviously borrowed from Greek, and so we can translate this well as defenders. So among those other distinguished defenders, fidei socinianae. Here is a feminine singular genitive, and it means of that faith. We have this guy, ille. Ille, the masculine singular nominative, is modifying the subject, Valentinus Smalcius. And you notice it's placed right there between or within the prepositional phrase that inter introduces. So the object of the preposition inter is hyperospites, and then we have a number of other items nestled inside of it. So among those other distinguished insignes, and this is taken quite sarcastically, distinguished defenders, hyperospites, or champions of the Socinian faith, that man, ille, Valentinus Smalcius, he asserted, asserverit, he did so with sufficient wickedness, improbe satis. So improbe, this is an adverb built on the adjective improbus, and of course then it has the adverbial ending, the long e. Improbus improbe. He asserted plainly enough or with adequate wickedness that, and this will now introduce indirect statement or oratio obliqua, based on this verb asserverit, that the words of the Lord, ea domini verba, with which we are dealing or that we are discussing, de quibus igitur, since they first proceeded, prolata sunt, from him, ab ipso, they have nothing to do with Christ. So let's look a little more closely at some of the grammar. As I said, asserverit, whose subject is ille Valentinus Smalcius, introduces indirect discourse, the subject of which is verba, like so, and its neuter, plural, and accusative, because it's going to be the subject of respexisse, and then of the infinitive continuisse, these two infinitives. Verba is modified by ea, and then there is domini, which is a genitive of possession. That those words of the Lord, and this is referring to the Genesis 3:15 passage, the proto-evangelium, those words of the Lord with which we are dealing, de quibus agatur. This is a very idiomatic phrase, a very nice phrase, that if you are a spoken Latinist or someone who likes to compose Latin, you should add this to your repertoire, because this is a very idiomatic phrase and quite useful. From the time that, or since, quando primum, from the very moment that they proceeded, prolata sunt, from him. And the ipso here is the Lord, and the prolata sunt is from profero. So from the very moment that those words came forward from him, they had nothing to do with Christ. So that is our translation of respexisse, which is a perfect infinitive active, and it is from the verb respicio, respicerat, like so, respicio. They referred to Christ, Christum, not at all, minime, nor did they contain, continuissa, anything within them in se, of the evangelical promise or the gospel promise. So promissiones evangelicae, feminine singular, and genitive. If you want to see this portion translated with a little more polish and idiomacy, you can read this portion here, which I have provided.
If you enjoyed that little video lesson, please go ahead and subscribe for us, click the bell and so forth. Check out the other videos on this page, leave a comment, and please be sure to check out our Patreon page as well.